The murder of Nikki Allan involved the cynical manipulation of a young 7-year-old girl who you lured away from her home at night for the purpose of sexually assaulting her. You attacked her twice, once outside the old Exchange building, and then the fatal assault. The fatal assault was brutal. You must have inflicted upon her unimaginable terror in the period before that fatal assault. You then took steps to cover your tracks by hiding the body to the extent that you could within that building, and by advancing your false alibi whilst another person stood trial for the murder which you had committed. I consider, having regard to all of those factors, that your offending was so serious that a minimum term of no less than 29 years would have been imposed. Any term less than this would not have reflected the recommendation of the trial judge or the decision of the Home Secretary at the time. I've given serious consideration to the conclusion that the combination of aggravating factors would have led to the imposition of a term of 30 years or more. However, taking into consideration the observations of Lord Bingham that the imposition of such a term would be very rare indeed, I've concluded that I can't be sure that a term in excess of 30 years would have been imposed. Accordingly, I'm satisfied and find that the minimum term of imprisonment which would have been ordered that you serve before release on licence is 29 years. That being lower than the minimum term I have determined under the contemporary regime, I set the minimum term as one of 29 years, subject to the consideration of the time you have spent on remand, which is 366 days. I remind all of those listening that the minimum term is just that, a minimum term which cannot be reduced in any way. After those 29 years have been served, there is no guarantee that you would be released. It's only if the parole board decides that you are fit to be released that you will be released, and even then you will be subject to licence and recall if you breach the terms of your licence. David Boyd, stand up. For the murder of Nikki Allan on the 7th of October of 1992, the sentence of the court is one of life imprisonment. You will serve a term of 29 years, subject to the 366 days which you have spent on remand before consideration is given to your release by the parole board. If you take him down.